All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for today's Wednesday webinar with the lovely Shelly Morris on 5 ways to improve your well-being and connection with nature. Shelly is a certified nature interpreter and owner of Nature Bound with over 10 years of experience helping others to connect to the world around them. She has an unquenchable thirst for exploring, learning, and helping to keep the spark of curiosity alive in us. Just a little bit of a quick reminder, if you have any questions for Shelly, please put them in the chat. If you do wish to ask your question out loud, please use the raise hand function, which can be found in the bottom bar of Zoom under the reactions tab. Otherwise, Shelly, I'm going to hand it over to you and take it away.
Wonderful. All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining, especially on today. It's been a pleasure to be able to present on, the summer solstice. So, having that opportunity and to be able to, speak about the different ways that we can connect to nature is, it's a great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining me. So my topic today is 5 ways to improve your well-being and connection to nature. And what we're going to be discussing is just different ways that we can connect to nature that makes sense for each of us, especially as entrepreneurial women. We have very busy lives. So it's really important to try and find those moments that work for us and we're able to connect. So a little bit about me. I am an explorer by nature. I was always that kid that wandered off on their parents, looking at bugs and trees and flowers and just immersing myself in my environment. I have an insatiable curiosity for finding out, who's who and what's what and, who lives around me. And it was really funny because when I was growing up, I didn't really get to know too many of my neighbors, but I knew all of my neighbors. They just weren't the people. So I studied the barred owls and the families that lived on my property. And it's just me and it's who I am. So I started up Nature Bound in hopes of connecting other people as well. And helping to reframe, wellness and a personal connection in others. So I'm also a field leader instructor with the Outdoor Council of Canada. I teach hiking and paddling. I am a canoe instructor with ORCA, which is the Ontario Recreational Canoe and Kayak Association. I am a master naturalist certified, a certified nature interpreter, and a practicing herbalist. So I am just your all-around nature nut. I guess some people like to call me a hippie, but whichever. Oops, I got to go back there. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second while I can get slide control.
You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard, Shelly, to go back and forth between the slides.
Oh, perfect. No, it's not going.
Oh, it's not letting you hit the back key?
Yeah.
So it's not good.
Stop sharing there. Sorry, everybody. Being a nature interpreter and being outside all the time, I'm a little behind on technology. Can you see my window?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little about the state of our current disconnect. Like we've all heard about it on the news. There's a lot of people that are, disconnected to nature. There's a lot of kids that are suffering from nature deficit disorder. We've had a spike in mental health issues. And currently, 77% of us, we live in urban environments. So our life is relying on very complex and industrialized processes to provide our daily needs. We're no longer hunting and gathering for our food. We're going to supermarkets. The time that we spend indoors, we have 90% of our time is spent indoors under artificial light, We're temperature controlled. And on hot days like today, it's kind of a nice thing. But it's void of all of the natural sights and sounds that us as humans are used to hearing, like biologically and physiologically. We've been like that for thousands of years. So now, we're adapting to not having these sights and sounds. And also we're surrounded with walls. So I know any moms out there that have toddlers, when you just wish you could just eliminate the walls because your kids keep bouncing off of it. Like those walls, they create safe spaces, but it can be very confining, especially when we're used to being able to explore and roam our natural world. Now, also another statistic here is 47% of us women are at a higher risk for developing mental health issues and depression. And we have a 2-to-1 ratio with men. So, it's really important that, we carve out these times and these opportunities to have moments of wellness and connection. And I'd like to discuss, some pretty neat ways on how we could do that. So some of the stressors that we face as women, we have our careers, our work, we have to meet deadlines, being mom, we might have more time off, loss of pay, extra stress. And then, we've worked all day, we come home and we still got to work. We got to take care of the family. We got meal prep to do, childcare to do, bedtime stories to read, or, even if we don't have children, there's still a lot of things that are required of us. We still have to make our dinners. We still have to clean our houses. We still have to nurture our relationships. A lot of other stressors that we face within ourselves, like some of us have some health issues, we might have self-esteem issues. There's a lot of societal conditioning on women, especially, around making us feel like we have to get it all done. So that definitely would account to having a much higher rate of depression and just general stressors that we face. So some of us might be struggling with body image issues, relationship issues. So, we're under a lot of pressure. And then you throw in being an entrepreneur on top of that. And, we need to carve these moments. So unfortunately, the way that stress manifests in our bodies, we all know, we become really cranky, irritable, we get a little moody, we might be sad, overwhelmed, we have difficulty concentrating, we get forgetful, misplacing our keys. We might be storing a lot of that extra stress and tension in our body. We might develop back pain, muscle tension. Some of us might suffer from headaches or fatigue. We might have irritable bowel or other gastrointestinal issues. We might suffer from insomnia. I don't know about you, but me, I break out. When I'm stressed, I start breaking out everywhere. I have really sensitive skin to stuff like that. And some of us might even start to suffer from heart problems. So I don't know how many of you can relate in this picture of this woman ripping her hair out. So I'm here to remind you that almost everything will work again if you just unplug it for a few minutes, including us. And, as busy moms and entrepreneurs and busy women, and just we need to make sure that we're carving out that time for us, even if just being a moment or, having a day of it. Like, it's really important that, we help to combat some of these stressors that our bodies are going through. So I have 5 ways that we can connect with nature. So we can connect with nature literally wherever we are. So if you're out on a hike or out on a walk, just looking around, you can even connect to nature in your own home. So we can connect with nature using our 5 senses. There's something out there for everything, and we'll discuss that in a minute. You can even get out into nature. So, even just stepping out onto your porch or going for a walk in a park, just being outside, removing those walls, removing the artificial light, letting our body get that natural vitamin D from sunlight. You know, vitamin D is extremely important in regulating our moods as well. So being able to have that natural access to light, you know, it's very important for us. Exercising in nature. So whether you like to go for a walk or a hike or a bike ride, you know, doing yoga in a park, any sort of opportunities to exercise in nature, we're getting that fresh oxygen, we're getting the vitamin D from the sunlight, and we're just getting, you know, all of those passive benefits of just being outdoors. Another way is we can bring nature to us. So if you can't make it out to nature, you can bring nature into the workplace. You can bring nature inside your home. You can buy a house plant, cultivate a house plant. Right now, my house, I think I probably have 40 or 50 plants in here. And unfortunately, you know, they take up a little bit of time, but you know, they're a blessing to have, especially, you know, going through winter when we don't get to see and touch the greenery. Being able to have that definitely would help to combat symptoms of seasonal affective disorder. And even the LED lights now, they have natural sunlights that you can purchase. You know, a lot of these things are definitely going to help us, you know, bring nature indoors. So now a way that we can satisfy our senses with nature. So if we're outside, satisfy the sense of sight. You can watch a sunset and a sunrise. It's a free show. We get 2 free shows a day. So partake in one of them, especially over Lake Nipissing. The sunsets over Lake Nipissing are just phenomenal. You can go stargazing. You can try and figure out what constellation is that, you know, get curious with it. Sit spots. Sit spots are one of my personal favorite things to do. I've done this a lot with people of varying ages. I find it's really beneficial with kids as well. You literally just walk outside and you just sit down. And you sit down for 5 minutes and just observe what's around you. What little ant is crawling up on a piece of grass? You know, what flowers do you see? You know, watch the leaves sway in the wind. Just kind of immerse your sense of sight. Another thing you can do is bird watching. I don't know if some of you are interested in checking out birds and the different species of birds, but we have so many varieties, and you can do it in numerous environments, in your backyard, at the park, on the water. There's different types of birds that live in all our different types of environments. And I encourage everybody to kind of like be curious with it, check them out. So our sense of taste. So we can connect to nature by going to the farmer's market, you know, speak to the people that, you know, grew the food, taste it. Does it taste different being grown here versus packaged products from the store? You can drink herbal teas. I make a lot of my own herbal teas. My family thinks I'm a little crazy because I'll be out there with a pair of scissors on the lawn. And my hubby is just not interested in drinking lawn clippings, as he calls it. But little does he know, like, it's red clover, there's daisy, there's nettle, there's blueberries. Like, so much of our lawn is edible, you know, provided that there's no pesticide use. Foraging, local foraging. So you can go foraging for berries. You can visit, you know, strawberry patches, and just, you know, remember what it was like to be a kid picking strawberries and stuffing a couple into the basket and then a couple into your mouth. So we can also connect with a sense of touch. So touch, I find a lot of people are very connected to the sense of touch. Some people like to see the world through touch. I have one of my children is like that. He's got to touch everything, literally everything. So I'm a firm believer in encouraging that, you know, especially with gardening, touch the soil, touch your plants, you know, feel the difference in the texture of the leaves. It's very grounding. Take off your shoes. You can connect, feel the grass between your toes. Skipping stones. feeling what it was like to skip a stone across the water. You could feel the different textures of the rocks. Even hugging a tree. A lot of people, I like to hug trees personally. A lot of people think I'm a little odd for that, but I don't care. I love to feel the energy from a tree and, appreciate the magnitude and the growth and everything that went into that tree. Another way that we could satisfy the sense of sound is listening to water. I know it invokes a lot of people, they have to go pee afterwards, but listening to water has an extremely calming effect on the body, whether that's, pouring a bath. So that's something you can do inside your home instead of being out in nature. Pour yourself a bath, listen to the water, feel the water. You can go out and visit waterfalls. We have so many beautiful waterfalls in our area. I encourage everybody to at least check out one or two of them. You can listen to bird calls. That's a strange noise. Investigate. Who is that? Keep an eye out. Then you can use your sense of sight. What kind of bird is that? And get curious with it. You can listen to frog calls and the different changing of the season. I can actually tell what date it is based off of what frogs are calling outside. So there's some that overlap in time. Some frog species come out earlier, some frog species come out later. And you can kind of get to know the rhythm of the seasons, even just by the sound. So the sound of wind rustling through the leaves, like you can have a moment to just listen and partake in that. So the sense of smell, I highly encourage everybody, stop and smell the flowers. Smell every flower that you come across. Just take that moment and just, does it smell sweet? Does it smell bitter? Get curious with that. Another big one is aromatherapy. A lot of people use aromatherapy because, like, our sense of smell, it's very important, and there is a connection. There's been proven studies that we connect and our moods can change based off of just the smell of something. So find out what your smell is. Do you like the smell of lilacs, roses? Get curious with that and explore it. Buy a room spray, that smell that kind of lights you up inside. For me, it's patchouli, and I love the smell of pine needles that are baking in the sun when you show up on a campsite. It's just that smell, that's my jam. So get curious with the smells around you. At home, you can do some fresh baked goodies. You can incorporate also some wild foraging in with that as well. So there's lots of opportunities that we can connect through all of these different senses. So now the benefits that we have of going outdoors. So our physical benefits, it lowers our blood pressure. Even just taking that moment to stop and smell the flowers will decrease your blood pressure. It increases the oxygen to the body and the brain. It'll enhance your immune system function. It'll reduce all those tense, stiff muscles that we have, and it can improve your sleep. So I know many of us, when we spend a day outdoors and we come home, we're ready for bed. So it's really good for helping to reset the system. So for our mental benefits, we have a lot of good mental benefits as well. So it lowers our cortisol levels, and cortisol is that stress hormone. A lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, I'm sure we all know about cortisol and, our stress response systems. So being out in nature, even if for a moment, is going to help to lower those cortisol levels. And it also helps to increase our serotonin levels. So the serotonin is that feel good, happy chemical that's released in our body when we do stop and smell that flower, and we kind of get that moment of just happy bliss, whatever it means to you. We get that moment where we can connect. And even if it's just for a second, that moment can alter our mental state, our physical state, and our emotional state for the rest of the day. So it also helps to improve our concentration. I find, especially if you're practicing moments like the sit spots. So you're taking an opportunity, you're being aware of your surrounding, you're noticing all those little nuances that you wouldn't normally see before. That helps to build a lot of skills in us, patience, our concentration. We're more so like patient with ourselves to have that moment to concentrate on these little nuances that we see. So it also helps to increase our creativity. So a lot of people use nature as inspiration for lots of different media, arts, painting, songs. So unleash your creative side. So the benefits for us emotionally, it's going to overall improve our mood. We have a reduction in anxiety. We're not as anxious anymore. We don't have this flood of thoughts going through our brains. We're able to just take that moment to breathe that clean air and just, admire the peace. So it definitely helps to reduce anxiety, reducing depression and our overall depression statistics as well. Nature is very calming. You can just show up and just be. There's nobody there to judge you. There's no deadlines. There's none of that. You just go out there and you just be. So that also will help to decrease our anger and irritability, which is also then tied into the rest with, our mood and our anxiety and our depression. And it helps to kind of promote that overall better emotional resiliency. Now, spiritually, so it kind of teaches us to live more in the moment instead of our brains rushing ahead. Oh, I got this deadline. I got to pick up the kids. I got to do this. I got to do that. We can just have a moment. Just be in the moment. Walk with that little ant that's crawling up that blade of grass and just be with it in that moment. So it really helps to foster a deeper understanding and awareness of being mindful. It also helps to teach us kindness and empathy. So when we're out in nature and there's, all this going on behind the scenes that we don't normally see, some people wouldn't notice, the little bug or a turtle that's struggling on the side of the road. So when we're more mindful of our surroundings and the other inhabitants around it, it helps us to extend our kindness and empathy towards other living things as well. It helps to mend our fears. So we're able to understand. I know a lot of people are scared of snakes, but if you even just watch that snake from a distance, you can have a moment and just kind of observe him. What does he look like? What are his scales like? Why is he moving like that? So that also ties in again with our kindness and empathy. So we start to think, more based off of what actually is, as opposed to our fears. It just helps to make us more grounded in our existence overall. And this is one of my favorite quotes. In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. And I'm a firm believer in it. There's been quite a few times, I've just been stressed out and I'm just ready to throw in the towel on something. And I just stop. I walk out the door. I feel the grass between my toes. I take a moment and just walk and just observe. And I've learned so much more about myself, about my fears, about my struggles, and about ways that I can help to combat that, even just by going for a simple walk. So this is a grounding technique that I'd like to share with you all. Like if you're having those moments, when you're really stressed out and you're just like, I don't know what to do anymore. So you can go outside or look out a window and name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Now, even if you're not in a natural environment, you can still do this with the world around you. So right now I have a coffee cup on my table. So that's something that I can see. I can feel it by picking it up and having a sip and knowing that, you know, having a moment to have a sip of tea it's good for the soul. So it's a really helpful technique for just kind of stopping all of that mental chatter and just kind of bringing you back to the moment where you can clear your head and you know, start thinking a little bit more compassionately with yourself. So here is my contact information. If you have any questions at all on ways to connect to the world around you, I'd be more than happy to help people figure that out and, you know, find out what makes you come alive, what smell, what sight, what taste, what touch, you know. Are you drawn to pretty pink flowers? Are you drawn to, you know, the way that a frog hops? You know, start to get curious with yourself and, you know, take the opportunity to discover the world around you and at the same time reap those benefits of nature and reconnecting ourselves to it. And just remember, get outside, have some fun.
All right. Thank you, Shelly, so much for that wonderful presentation. Does anybody have any questions at this time? I'll give people the option to unmute themselves if they want to ask their questions out loud now. I'm not seeing any. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, for coming today. Thank you again, Shelly, so much for the wonderful presentation. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you, everyone.